Emily Midget here with you today for the January 2020 installment of Exploring with Emily. Today I'm going to be talking about more of a technique than a coloring medium. I'm going to use Copic markers to create kind of a spotlight Copic colored image. So, you know, if you have one of these really huge images like this beautiful peony perfume bottle image from Colorado Craft Company, but maybe you only want to use part of it, I'm going to show you how you can do that with your Copic markers and just some cardstock and some ink. So let's get started. Now my main focus with this stamp, it's got this beautiful floral topper on this pretty Chanel inspired perfume bottle. The only thing that I really want to focus on today is this these top peonies. So what I want to do, I want to create kind of this little bouquet, and then I would like to put a sentiment right here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to place this approximately where I want to put it on my card front, because then we're going to have the sentiment right here. But we're not going to see this perfume bottle portion. So I'm just going to place this right here. Close my MISTI. And stamp the way I normally would. All right, so this would be fine normally. You know, if you just wanted to color this image and just have the top portion of the perfume bottle visible, that's totally fine, and that's totally up to you. But what I like to do to kind of make it look like even more of a custom image, I take my black Copic marker. This is number 110 Special Black, and I'm going to color around the edges, spotlighting, leaving normal the only areas that I want to have colored. So let me just demonstrate. I'm using the sharp edge of my Copic marker right now because we've got all these little teeny tiny areas and details that I want to leave normal. And you want to make sure you get extra good coverage to cover up those black lines. I tried to ink them a little bit more sparingly so that they weren't quite so dark. I'm just going to cover that up. That line's a little bit thin. And we're leaving normal the spots that we want to color. We're not touching those with the black marker. So basically what you're going to do is create a black outline around the edge and then color the rest of the panel with your Copic marker, with your black Copic marker. All right, now I'm going to switch to the other side because the detail work is done on that portion. Now you want to make sure that your marker is nice and juicy for this portion so that you get good coverage over those black lines. And you can do lots of layers on this. I'm not terribly fastidious about making sure that the lines all go the same direction because I know I'm probably going to go over it again with the same marker just to make sure that there's good coverage. You see how this section is slightly lighter, so I'm going to go over it again with my marker. Being careful not to ruin the details that we worked so hard to keep. I'm going to switch again to the fine tip. Now, one of the things that I really like about this technique is that you have the ability to create, kind of customize your image. So do you see these tiny little flowers right here? There's no way that I personally would be able to neatly get these flowers get a black outline around all of these tiny little flowers and berries. So what I'm just gonna do, I'm just gonna cover them up. And because we used an alcohol-friendly ink to start out with, there's not going to be any worry about bleeding or anything like that. So for my second idea today, continuing with this idea of creating a spotlight on a large image, just spotlighting a certain section of it, I'm going to use Ink on 3's Fade Out ink and create a colored background. Instead of using the black ink and creating a black background, I'm going to show you how you can do combine the Ink on 3 Fade Out ink with colored Copic markers and create a colorful background, as well as doing some no-line coloring. So I've got this image. This is the Everything Wonderful stamp set from Honeybee Stamps, which I'm proud to say that I actually drew these flowers on this stamp set. It's my name right there. It's so exciting. And so this is a fairly large image, and so I'm just going to show you how you can spotlight a certain section of it. So we're going to kind of leave off this section right here and just have these two larger flowers here, and then some of these little sprigs of ranunculus and things over here, and berries. So let me show you how I do that. So I've got my Misty all set up with my image, and I've got it kind of placed approximately where I want it to be. And I'm just going to stamp it with this Ink on 3 Fade Out ink. This is my favorite ink for doing no line coloring. I found it works really well. And this is just Neenah cardstock, the same stuff that we used last time. So I've chosen, this is B37, and I'm going to use this, the pointed end of this. Now, the trick with this one is you want to make sure that you're coloring you want to focus on coloring the entirety of an image. So like this image, you see the entirety of the floral. You see the entirety of this one. But this image is slightly covered up by this flower. This flower is kind of overlapping this flower, and so this one is behind. So this is one of the ones that we're going to cover up, as well as this leaf right here, because this is covered up. So you want to make sure that any image that you're coloring the whole thing and not just a portion. That's going to help make sure that that your image doesn't look like it's kind of just floating out in the middle of nowhere. Keep your lines nice and crisp. Keep your edges nice and crisp. Don't get too heavy of a hand, because sometimes if you get too heavy of a hand, the edges can kind of blur together, and that's not what you want. Okay, we're gonna let this one dry, and we're gonna move on to a petal that's not right next to it. Okay, so now we're going to color this petal right here. Now this is behind these other two petals, so we've got to make sure to keep the contrast between the light edges of these two petals and the dark shadowed area of this petal very nice and crisp. So you can see the differentiation between these three petals because I kept the contrast. So I'm gonna go ahead and finish coloring this image, and you can see what it looks like when it's finished. So I finished coloring the panel. You can see how the dark blue background really makes those bright, vibrant blooms pop. Looks almost kind of velvety. And you can see that none of the image, for the rest of the image that we covered up is pretty well covered up with that dark blue. So I've got that finished. Now it's just time to add a sentiment.
Well, that's all for me today. I hope this video helps you to see that you are not bound by any image, but instead are able to create completely custom projects simply by using your Copic markers and ink creatively. Thank you so much for watching, and if you liked this video, please give us a thumbs up. For more information on the products used, head over to the Ellen Hudson blog. Thanks so much for watching, and have a marvelous day.